good part out. Exploding rockets in Texas rained debris over Florida. And defining meritocracy has become as difficult as defining woke.
Oh, no.
Our
What?
show today is being sponsored by freeflowanalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power connections and performance for free. Yeah.
I love that group over there. Whatever those people at Free Flow Analytics are doing, they're doing it well.
Yeah, I would say that. I guess that's why. Well,
I mean, calm down. I know it's just the sponsor of the show. I don't want you to get too hyped up, but the heavy sigh right before saying, I know.
They called me the other day saying, like, lay off a little bit. You're laying it on a little too thick. You're always, but, I enjoy it. I use it for all our shows.
They told you, really? They told you to lay, I guess they're into authenticity.
They think I'm, like, faking it, but I really honestly do. Like, I have access to some really big ESG data providers, and I actually use the Free Float platform for everything.
They just released, I just got an email saying they added nonprofit board data to their board sort of connections. They said it's an insane. I saw a preview of it. There's an insane amount of data. Like, did you know that the CEOs on average, 30% of the average CEO's board they know through nonprofits because they sit on like a foundation together.
Which is creepy because what does it take to get a high-ranking executive at a company to go home and spend time with their families? Like,
correct. Go.
But just put a little FaceTime in, like just a little. You don't need to be. First of all, these nonprofit boards, they don't really want you. They want your money, but they hate your insight. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, they do.
Because honestly, you know nothing about visual art or storytelling or whatever you're doing. Even education, you know nothing about. So just go home.
My favorite nonprofits that they like in the preview that I saw from Free Float were like the Massachusetts Council on Massachusetts. It's like, what do they do exactly? They just like talk about
Cape Cod.
What are you doing? All right, let's do this. Let's do stories. I got a lot of assholes today.
Come on.
I got no time to waste.
I have some good ones.
Finally, your stories in the last 2 weeks kind of sucked.
Well, it's difficult to understand the news cycle these past few
I know.
months.
We had tariffs, then we didn't have tariffs. That would happen in 12 hours, so I didn't even know.
And I'm trying to avoid Elon Musk for every news story. So the first big story, which I hinted at the top, is Kroger, which I don't actually even really know Kroger's. I've never been to a Kroger. It must be a Midwest, West Coast in the United States?
I think they're here and there. Aren't they kind of Walmart-y? It's just that, isn't it? I think that's what it is.
Fortune 500 company Kroger ousts longtime CEO after probe into personal conduct. I should say misconduct, but that's what the headline says. And we've talked about this a lot. First of all, Matt, when you're doing things like personal misconduct that get you fired at big companies, can we put the person's name in the headline so they don't get a job immediately at a competing company?
It would be nice if they said the person's name.
Rodney McMullen.
So you know, that's the guy. Like,
Here's the only thing that shareholders know. That on February 21st, 2025, the board of directors was made aware of certain personal conduct by Mr. McMullen and immediately retained outside independent counsel to conduct an investigation, which was overseen by a special board committee. But what we don't know, Matt, is what the conduct was, why they were running out to find lawyers, who sits on the special board committee. We know nothing. They also said, Matt, that Mr. McMullen's conduct is not related to the company's financial performance, operations, or reporting, and it did not involve any Kroger associates. But I ask you, Matt, when you're the CEO of a major company and you've been there for over 40 years, you've held the roles of CEO, chair, COO, vice chair, CFO, EVP, strategy, planning, and finance.
Anything else he did?
And you get immediately fired. Does that not have a direct... Is that not material? Does that not have a direct relation to the company, its operations, its financial performance, everything?
Well,
come on, what are we doing here?
So you could argue he got immediately fired. When was that? That was like 3 days ago, right?
Yeah, early this week.
Earlier this week, he gets immediately fired. The stock is up this week 6%.
Which is odd because aren't all retail businesses scared to death of these tariffs?
Well, here's the question. Well, the tariffs came and went away, right? So
Wait,
maybe
is that true? Not with
yeah,
Canada.
they already
Mexico.
paused a
They
bunch
paused
of the
Canada
tariffs.
Too?
They paused a bunch of Canadian
there
tariffs,
goes
the
my
auto
tariff story. There
tariffs.
goes my-
They already
just
the
the
auto
auto,
tariffs,
just
just
the
the
auto.
auto tariffs.
But Mexico, they paused, I think.
They paused a bunch. But do you think the market's slightly celebrating that guy's gone? Like, do you think they're like, oh my God, we've been waiting for so long, and now he's finally gone? I don't. I know, like everything I've read about this, the conduct is not related to company's financial performance. Yada yada yada.
I guess it's
It
not.
was a
If you're saying the stock
fireable
is up.
offense. So well, let's narrow it down. Your policy, your personal conduct policy, covers things that people can do and can't do, and the company will
Company
fire
policy.
you for.
Yeah.
Which
Is that
can a
not related?
CEO not do
Yeah.
that is not related to the company itself and its operations?
Well,
Doesn't
wouldn't
that
that be-
limit
yeah,
it
that's what I
down
was
to
gonna
like
say.
snorting coke off of a hooker? Like
How
what
is
are
that
we,
not
what are
related,
we at?
though? How is that not related to his day-to-day operations?
Well, I mean, clearly there's got to be some knock-on effect. Like if
Right.
yeah, there's got to be something. But like, it is crazy that you kind of know nothing.
And Matt, how? 2025. How is it not absolutely required that they tell
People
shareholders
on-
what the hell is going on?
People on social media
Who are we
disclose their bowel movements
Everything.
on a
Everything.
minute by minute basis, and we don't know like stuff about executive. They don't even put his name in the headline of this story.
And if you want to hear some really horrible corporate governance principles, here's what they did. They named lead director Ronald Sargent as the interim CEO and the interim chair, and he's still the lead director. So now all roads lead through Ronald Sargent on that board.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just the sole winner. All right, moving on. I did include tariff stuff, but
Why? Do we have to talk about any of it? I mean, like, isn't it all like we're just at the whim of a like 80-year-old man now? Like, it does
here's
feel like
why.
someone gave Grandpa the wheel of the car, and he's deciding while we're driving where we're gonna drive to.
except he's not. Yeah, except he's not really sure even as he's doing it.
He doesn't really even
When
have
he-
a license, and he's got cataracts.
When he hits the trash can, he actually says he meant to hit the mailbox, kind of thing.
It
But
is
here's
nuts.
why I included it, because there's a headline from Axios.com: Chaos: How American CEOs are reacting to Trump tariffs. And then there's a bunch of headlines talking about a little bit of pushback, right? And then I'm wondering now, what does it take for a CEO to get involved? The DEI thing, a lot of them are immediately capitulating. The tariffs, they're still kind of sitting on their hands. What does it take? What can Trump do for CEOs to actually kind of rise against here?
So I have a whole like piece, a little bit about this DEI thing to begin with, because what happened this week is all of the lawsuits are actually starting to get like into the hands of courts, and they are saying things like most of the things that you're declaring to just be banned or gone are not legal for you to declare. Like even the firings, the freezing of, the U.S. aid, the freezing of NIH funding, all of that stuff, you can't just say you can't, like, it's dead. You can't just, like, a president can't come in and say that. It's not the way it's supposed to work. So
in fact,
there's pushback.
Yeah, I just saw the Georgetown University coming out yesterday saying, no, we're not listening to you because this is a First Amendment issue. Like, we have, this is our choice.
Well, that is what you would expect. So the DEI
You would
stuff,
expect.
he can say like no more DEI in the federal government. He cannot say a private company cannot do DEI. They can sue and they can go through a process, and what they're going to find when they're done with these lawsuits is like largely 4 years will go by and you're likely to win a lot of these lawsuits because a lot of it has to do with your talent pool. It isn't discriminatory. If you're not stupid like Harvard in the way they wrote up their sort of argument for affirmative action, I don't know why people aren't fighting. They're
Well, maybe we're gonna
terrified
start-
of what?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. They're-
Fucking stand up, say something, you asshole. Like,
Yeah.
it's all right, anyway. We'll come back to that.
Anyway, let me leave you at this with the tariff stuff. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called it a quote very dumb thing. That kind of sums it up, right? Okay. Third story of the week. Goodbye, Stefano. Matt, ready for this? One of our favorites is leaving our airwaves. Walgreens to be bought by private equity firm in $10 billion deal.
Oh, that's sad to
So,
me.
We've talked about Stefano Pessina several times on several of our shows because he's the not so hidden ruler of all things Walgreens, although the rest of the business market gets it wrong. Matt, according to my calculations, at $11.45 per share, Stefano Pessina is going to make about $2 billion for all his failure.
Wow, way to fail up, buddy.
$2 billion.
That's the way you do it.
But sadly, his wife, the COO of Walgreens, again, this is Stefano Pessina. He's the executive chair at Walgreens. He owns a considerable amount of shares. His wife happens to be the COO. This is kind of like Kimball Musk being on the board. Her name is Ornella Barra. She only gets $36 million. So,
I don't know. Why didn't she get put on the board? If you're Stefano, just put her on the board, right? Or maybe you just want a little time away from your wife, and your
that's
boardroom is where you
sad.
can...
Goodbye. We don't get the kicker on Stefano anymore. I mean, he's going to leave our database soon, right? Because I don't think he sits on any other boards.
You know, we're making changes, and by we, I mean Freeflow Analytics, the sponsor of the show, told me that they were making
private
changes.
company boards? Private company boards?
They are going to keep boards data on
Okay,
historically in the data
Sure.
set.
Okay.
But the move is to try to get into private company boards.
That would be wonderful.
There's some data around it. It's just really bad.
And finally, in a very nerdy, wonky story of the week, which I just love. Maybe this gives you a little bit of extra juice for your DEI stories. But ready for this one, Matt? This happened at Quanex Building Products. Okay, and this shows you the wonderful lunacy of ISS and Glass Lewis and all the proxy advisory services. At Quanex Building Products, 15% of shares were against Susan Davis, Director Susan Davis, and this was very high because all other directors got at least 93% for.
Wait a minute.
And much higher. Yeah.
Let me guess. Is it because she underperformed on TSR at several other boards?
No, there's no
or,
performance measured. There's no performance measured. No, nothing.
Really?
But I know the reason.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a classic because Susan Davis,
Yeah.
she chairs the nomination committee on a board with only one woman, and that's herself. So she's the token woman on this board, and she's getting punished.
Wow.
Because
Well
she
done.
hasn't figured out how to break the glass ceiling and get more female directors. So
so
they're
you're
blaming her. They're
you're
blaming
sa-
the woman.
You're saying that they
Congratulations,
voted
ISS
against the
and Glass
nom
Lewis.
chair because there weren't enough women on the board,
And they're blaming
and
the
the only
only
woman on the
woman
board was
is-
the nom chair.
I just love that.
I love that. That's a great headline. That should, in no way should be story of the week, but also is fabulous.
I just had to wedge it in there. I had to.
That should have been goodliest. I'm gonna go with the winner here. I mean,
I feel like there's only one choice.
yeah. Well, for
Well,
me,
maybe
there's
not.
only
Maybe not.
there's
Yeah,
one.
Go ahead.
There's one that is gonna just eke it out. I really want to pick Stefano Pessina because that
Yeah.
seems like our story of the week, but the story of the week is Kroger.
Yeah,
yeah.
course.
It's really hard to not have that be the story of the
Mostly
week.
because it is absolute lunacy that they don't tell us what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I mean, also we're a little biased in that. I mean, we come from a school of thought in
Not
which
biased. Not biased at all.
you very famously on the show, and when I
Yes.
say famously, I mean like the 1 to 7 people that have ever heard the show ever in
Yeah.
5 years of doing it, have said repeatedly that you want, as a mandatory practice,
Yes.
everyone in the company needs to do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
every
that's
single year.
that's the Doge effort I'm looking for. I don't want to fire
Yeah.
anyone. I want them just to get up on stage and do a little comedy.
I think you'd learn everything you need to know about your coworkers when they're standing on stage trying to do a
Absolutely.
stand-up comedy routine.
Yes.
I think that's the right way to
Well,
do
we
it.
know Ron McMullen. He should have a pretty good set this week. He's got a lot to air out, a lot of grief, a lot
A
of
lot,
right.
you could do the. It's like John Mulaney when he got out of rehab.
There you go.
The Rodney McMullen could do the same
Yeah,
thing.
there
All
you
right,
go.
let's do good Leos.
Come on. Why don't you go first? Because one of yours I don't really understand, so why don't you? Start?
Yeah, I got two. I'll go with
Yeah.
the one you don't understand first because I know this is the one you don't understand.
Yeah, you know how simple my mind is.
All right, the headline was why State Street lost $35 billion to Amundi and Invesco over ESG.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
All right, so this is fabulous. This is what we've been saying about Florida for 5 years. Like, I don't know why companies, if you had problems with the way Florida was governing, move out of Florida. Just get out. This is exactly what happened because State Street changed their diversity. We covered last week about how they sort of changed their diversity. They said committees are well positioned to choose their own boards.
Not well positioned. They're basically the only ones who know how to handle their boards, right? They know. So
they know. They know. We don't. They know.
Yeah, nobody knows.
They also changed ESG goals that they had, and I don't know which goals specifically, but they one of many who have been pulling back on like net zero and climate commitments and all of the kind of stuff. Well,
that stuff is boring.
The People's Pension, which is a UK-based pension, has had like $35 billion worth of assets with State Street that they were managing. They pulled all but like $3 billion of it out of State Street, and they told them because your ESG stuff is shitty. Your changes made it shitty, and this is when SSGA has been voting less and less for environmental and social shareholder proposals. So this is one of very few instances where you see not like John's retirement fund with $60,000 where he was hoping to maybe, eke out before he was dead. This is the People's Pension with billions of dollars moving assets. This is not the only one either. There, a pension fund in Ghana did this. There are a bunch of pension funds who are basically looking at these major asset managers and saying, we have assets with you. We want certain things done, and you are backing off of the things that we want done. So we're out. I love it.
I gotta tell you, I'm not surprised by BlackRock and Vanguard. The State Street flip flop confuses me because I remember visiting them at they're headquartered in Boston, right?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah,
I mean, Massachusetts is the most liberal country on earth. Let's just be clear. There's nothing more progressive or liberal than the country of Massachusetts, and we've been there multiple times, and I couldn't have seen this shift happening. It's quite a remarkable turnaround. So I applaud Amundi and Invesco for actually paying attention. And let me add this to State Street, to all the State Street listeners, that if you're going to make this asinine approach, which is, I don't know who wrote the copy for this because it's just utter stupidity, and you're going to tell us that the only people who understand the board are the nomination committee itself, then shouldn't the next phrase be, because of this, we should put extra scrutiny on nominating committee members when they first join the board and that committee. We should spend a lot of time paying attention to who these boards are appointing to the nomination committee, because once they get there, Matt, it's basically like a college professor, a tenured college professor, right? Because they're geniuses once they get there, right?
So
but
first
no,
of all,
they just throw out some weird cockamamie idea that has no objective data behind it. We don't objectively know why there are geniuses on these committees. They just, State Street has determined that the members of the nomination committee know more than we do.
Well, first of all, as soon as you said in that sentence, because That's when the That's when the
Yeah.
no buzzer went off.
It's just like
that was,
none of these.
there's no because.
Is anyone doing their jobs anymore in any of these companies? I just
I
don't.
mean,
know.
I'm not sure they ever did. In
Okay,
fairness,
fair
right?
enough,
Like
fair enough.
so it's
They
I don't.
talked a pretty good game 10 years ago. But yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, given the fact that on average a director gets 96% for votes, I'm not sure they were doing much of an assessment.
Well, they
of
were
those
voting.
people.
There were a lot more for votes for pro ESG proposals back in the day. Now it's like it's
Yeah, I
laughable.
don't think they.
It's laughable.
But didn't they all kind of know most of those weren't going to pass? And what do they
Okay,
really
well,
get
that's-
out of the? I mean, what
yeah.
they're non-binding. What do you get out of the proposal? You get a report that says something,
You're
right? Like,
suggesting that there was a woke washing of yeses for shareholder proposals back in the day. Maybe you're right. Maybe
I think it was
appeasing people like us.
I think the joke is on everyone in and no offense. Oh, you have a lot of people, and by a lot I mean a person from a stewardship team that listens to this show, and stewardship work is great work, but stewardship is largely focused on shareholder proposals. I mean, it focuses on directors on the margins,
But
like
those are harder
voting
to-
against
yeah.
you vote against the chair of a committee, and that's about it. And there's like 4 of those. Like there's the
And
chair of
as
the
we've
board
seen-
and 3 real committees, right?
And as we've seen, they've made these cockamamie scalable rules that they don't even look at the boards and data. They just say if they're under this for attendance, if there are fewer than this many women, you just like they don't even look at the fact that at Quannex building products that you're actually penalizing the token woman on the board.
I mean, that one's a great example of who's just voting whatever ISS and Glass
Yeah,
like
just
the
pulling the
dumbness
trigger.
of the policy. It means roughly 15% of the market is probably just voting the dumb policy. They don't even look.
Although-
That's
yeah.
15% stupidity, and then
Well,
the other half is just voting with management, right?
I will say this: that Glass Lewis is, I think it's Glass Lewis, right? That's adding a 4-year consideration flag now to diversity decisions for proxy investment advice, right? Right? Aren't they? Isn't that Glass Lewis?
yeah,
4-year.
well, it's
So-
definitely not ISS.
So what they're going to do now in the future is, I guess they'll add a flag to Susan Davis saying, "Yes, we're recommending you vote against her, but it's really stupid. We're being really stupid." Is that what the flag's going to say?
I guess that's what the flag says.
Yeah,
You like
okay.
vote against, but also we're dumb.
We're dumb.
So really good mixed messaging. No, but
Yeah.
I mean, the fact remains here that like investors didn't really do anything with these votes
Well,
anyway,
that's,
and like.
that's your perspective. Maybe it's
Well,
right. Maybe you're right.
I mean, like, look, we spend a lot of time analyzing should we ask for this report or not from a shareholder proposal, right? Like, but we
I
don't
like all
spend
reports. Give me
any time
reports.
on the 11 people who actually are managing your asset on a regular basis.
Well,
we don't we don't measure their performance on anything, right? Like there's been 0 directors voted out because they've gone from company to company and their carbon performance is terrible. Why? If we care so much about environmental issues and we think that's a fundamental risk to not only Earth but the company itself and your assets, why do you vote for directors that keep sucking at it? Like, you don't have to look at their expertise and say, oh, you're a carbon expert or not. It's not about that. It's about look at their track record. Everywhere they went, carbon emissions went up.
well,
but no one even does that.
You're talking about my ultimate wish list. My dream list would be to see how the directors voted on all the issues presented to them over the year. Right? I mean, we'll never get that, but that would be
apparently
amazing because we have been mocking Dimitri Stockton for being a double DEI guy, but actually we don't know. He sits on the boards of Target and Deere. We don't actually know, to be fair, and we don't include. Thus, we don't have this data in our database. But he actually might have been fighting to keep DEI.
That's true. He could have been.
But I would love that vote. I would love to see the results of those votes.
So that was
Anyway.
my first good
Yeah,
list.
20 minutes later. I'm going to shut up. Go ahead. What else do you have?
My second good list is really simple. Here's the headline: Bourbon is banned. California wine canceled as Canada pulls U.S. alcohol. I love.
Yeah.
There was the response of Canada.
Yeah.
Like Canada gets tariffs against them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like on and off. It's gonna be. Did he have
we
his
doing?
meds today? Do we have a
Canada.
tariff?
We're fighting with Canada, Matt? What's happening?
We're fighting with the only country that wants
The
to fight with
nicest
nobody.
people on
They
earth.
literally want
I
to
don't
like.
understand anything anymore.
They literally would just want to have pancakes and a beer every minute of
I-
every day.
I
It'd be
shared
fine.
this. I share this story when I talk about Canada. So I spent 2 years living in Montreal, and when I was leaving, I rented a truck to move my stuff out. And all they had was an oversized truck that I couldn't handle because I'm an inept moron. It was too big for me to drive. I'm bringing it home. I sideswipe my neighbor's car,
Oh,
and he all he can talk about is how worried he is for me that I'm going back to America where healthcare sucks. He wasn't mad at me at all. He was just worried about my healthcare when I went back to the United States. That's all he talked about.
well,
Nicest people on earth.
I love that Canada, unlike Trump, who's just like 25% tariff on all things from a place.
Well,
I don't know.
About an systematic approach, right?
And the reason why is fentanyl, but none of it comes from that place, or what? Like it's like 0.1% of the problem, but whatever. Tariff. Canada was like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna target red states and their biggest exports to Canada. Those happen to be alcohol.
Solar. Oh, alcohol.
I just love it. It's fabulous.
I love this. How about this whiny Jack Daniels executive? The headline is a top Jack Daniels executive says Canadians removing U.S. liquor from store shelves is a disproportionate response to
yes.
Trump tariff.
He's in my assholiest.
I like how he gets to weigh in on how the Canadians get to react to their bully. Like let the Canadians decide how to react to the bully.
No. The best part about that, and I'll deal with this in assholiest, is he's acting like it's Canada's fault.
Yeah,
right. Like it was Canada that's doing this, right?
Let me go quickly so we can move forward. My two goodliest headlines of the week. First, Target's DEI retreat has sparked a 40-day boycott. We talked about last week how there was one day that people weren't going to shop, but now they're trying a 40-day boycott. Let's see if this one works.
You know what? It's pretty easy for me. I've been on like a 200-day boycott so far. Like I just don't go there at all.
And finally, SpaceX. This is kind of in the vein of one of your goodliest, kind of an ironic goodliest. SpaceX's Starship explodes in space again, raining debris over the Caribbean. But here's the good part of it. The good part is that the FAA briefly halted flights to several Florida airports. That seems like a victory, right? Like if I had to go to Florida, I would be very angry. But if they canceled the flight, I would just be thrilled. So that just seems like good news.
Honestly, I have a couple flights coming up because we're going to be in Hawaii visiting my in-laws.
Hawaii's fine. Fine.
I'm terrified to fly. The FAA is basically being controlled by SpaceX employees
being dismantled. People are being fired. Yeah.
Like if planes start flying the way SpaceX rockets work, I don't know that I'm happy about flying anywhere. It's a good thing because if everyone's terrified of flying, everyone will stay home. We won't go anywhere.
Here's the other good thing, Matt, is that we know who to blame for all this. This is a DEI problem. Blame diversity.
That's true.
You know who's causing all this problem? It's an African man. An African is causing all these problems.
Oh, how dare you? It's just rude. All right, let's. Who wins goodliest? I feel like people's pension moving all the money out is a winner.
There it is. I never care about these winners.
I know you don't care about anything.
Let's do assholes. I'm gonna try to shut up.
Actually, two of them. This is mostly headlines. This is mostly rants and headlines. This is not a data-driven asshole.
And yet, I'm still gonna try to shut up. Go ahead.
I doubt it. All right, number one asshole nominee, passing the buck.
Okay.
You already mentioned top Jack Daniels exec says Canadians removing U.S. liquor from store shelves is a disproportionate response to Trump tariffs. It's like he's saying it's your fault, Canada. Even though Trump said, did this random stupid trade war to help Vice President Doge Musk, you took it too far, Canada. Your fault, asshole.
Jerk.
Well, there were actually 5 other headlines I saw this week that were exactly the same.
Okay.
Arsonists set fire to a dozen Teslas charging stations amid anti-capitalist coordination to target Tesla.
Yeah, is it anti-capitalist or is it anti-Musk?
Oh, yeah. It's your fault, anti-capitalists. It's like saying it's Antifa's fault. Not the fact that the board of Tesla...
Don't go after the Nazi. Yeah, don't go after the
board
guy
of Tesla allows
Nazis.
its CEO to be an open-faced Nazi sandwich everywhere he goes. He made obscene amounts of money only because he had no guardrails on the board. He picked the most... compromised boards you can have. Investors keep turning a blind eye to him. They paid him billions of dollars, $100 billion, so that he's the richest person in the world and can buy the government on the cult of personality. But somehow it's the anti-capitalists' fault
not
that they're burning Teslas?
Matt, not to mention something that you've outlined several times, and I see the regular business news finally catching up to this, that Elon Musk himself has benefited from so many government handouts.
$38 billion in government handouts.
Crazy.
Like, this is the biggest, most egregious mythologizing founder fetish in the history of founder fetishes.
Wait, but we can't blame the man whose rocket just exploded over Florida? I don't understand.
The number of rockets that have exploded over everything. Like, what are we mythologizing? He bought Tesla. Last year, the way he ran it, the most recalled car on Earth. Tesla had the most recalls of any car company. His SpaceX, really fabulous rockets that continually explode. And what we can say over and over and over again, well, he's just innovating. It's just innovating. He's made amazing things.
Something that NASA perfected.
But
50 years ago, 60 years ago.
NASA not only perfected it, they paid him to innovate.
Yeah.
This is subsidized innovation. This isn't him. He keeps subsidizing what he's really good at. His core skill is raising money. He's incredibly good at that. He's got the Boring Company. They drill the hole under Las Vegas. It has traffic in it, and there's no place for pollution to go. It's the shittiest hole ever dug.
And nobody needed it in the first place.
What are we mythologizing here?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
What else you got?
Well, in the same vein, Elon Musk, here's the headline. Elon Musk tells Republican lawmakers he's not to blame for federal filings.
Which is ironic because Trump actually cited him during his address to Congress that he is responsible. So have fun with that, lawyers.
Who is to blame? Is it the American public's fault?
Well,
like, who's to blame?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah,
they did elect the new king.
Yeah. Don't look
Here's another one. More CEOs are getting fired. Blame FOMO boards.
Oh, I'm glad you looked into this one. Yeah, tell me about this one.
So
what does
this
that mean?
is so the article suggests that boards have less patience for underperformance than they used to. They're worried about missing out, and so they're firing CEOs faster.
Missing out on what? Like higher stock prices?
The data shows that boards are hand chosen by the CEO.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And the CEO, when they underperform, when the company underperforms, are we supposed to blame the board for firing? Isn't that them doing their job? Aren't they supposed to fire underperforming? Why is there blame?
I don't understand that one. Yeah.
I don't. Like, what are we talking about? Blame. That's called, like, you want to be capitalist. Isn't that capitalism? Yeah. Show me some performance.
They're there to provide oversight of management. Absolutely. What else?
Here's my favorite one. Here's my last one. My favorite one of the week. Starbucks CEO. That's Brian Nichol. They don't say his name. Brian Nichol. Starbucks CEO tells workers to step it up after layoffs.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's your fault, we laid a bunch of you off.
Yeah.
But now you got to work more. It's your fault. You better get on it.
They've opened too many stores. They have too many crummy drinks. They have a mobile app ordering system where people can put on like 17 different TikTok editions. And let's blame the workers.
But it's the workers. Yeah. It's the workers. We laid you off, but it's your fault.
That these workers have basically we're forced to become like social workers in most urban centers where anyone could use the bathroom, right? And they couldn't refuse. I mean, that's not easy. It's not easy.
So the number one nominee this week is Passing the Buck,
right, which
look, by the way, investors, you don't have to pass the buck. Vote your fucking shares and
Yeah.
do the analysis. Do it right, and then you won't have to pass the
Well-
buck. Then I don't have to read a headline about how the Ohio State Attorney General is suing Boeing's board for safety issues while voting for Boeing's board.
And
Right?
let me
We don't
be
have to read
super
that
clear.
headline.
Be super clear. If you're not satisfied with what you're getting, if you're contracted with ISS or Glass Lewis, reach out to Free Flow Analytics.
That's
we,
true.
We will.
Do
we
it.
Will be
We're
super
working with
clear.
pension funds now.
We will be super clear.
All right, number 2.
Yeah.
This is the meritocracy we're going after now? This is it's
What
it's,
is the meritocracy?
Okay.
I don't even know. What is
Here's
woke? What is all of it, man?
Here's
Tell
the
me.
headline I saw that just everything's a trigger for me. Like
As it
like
should be. Yeah. I mean,
Robbie Starbuck vows to pursue firms doing DEI by another name. Okay,
how about
Robbie
the fact-
Starbuck.
Can we start with the fact that we don't name the Starbucks CEO, but we're now naming Robbie Starbuck? And
Okay.
shouldn't he be referred to as like gross internet troll? Why are we naming him?
Why is it a headline? Like this could just be guy named Gus doesn't like black
Racist.
people,
Yeah,
right? Like,
racist, uses internet
let's
trolling.
be clear. Robbie Starbucks bona fides in going after massive corporations around DEI. He got his job. How? He's not a real person. He was doing music videos and then pivoted to doing a fake documentary about children.
Yeah.
Mostly, he's just a white guy.
Yeah, no,
He's
I
a
would
white
guess-
guy who goes on conservative radio and talks about how much he feels discriminated against by companies with DEI policies. He rode a wave.
Yeah.
He got retweeted by Elon Musk one time, and that was it.
Right.
This is the guy. This is the meritocracy. This is the pioneer of meritocracy. The reason why we're talking about merit, the reason why
don't forget,
Deere is
Matt.
dropping its DEI and Harley Davidson, and because this guy who merits us listening to him. Meanwhile, here
Yeah, I
are the
was gonna
other
say,
headlines from this
don't,
week.
But please don't forget though, is that didn't Warren Buffett tell us just Ivy educated Warren Buffett, I believe? Didn't he just tell us that you don't really even need a great
Yeah.
education?
Well, this is part of my problem because the other headlines this week include update on DEI. Federal court temporarily blocks most of the administration's DEI orders, but uncertainty continues. So not you're vowing to continue pursuing DEI by another name while it's illegal for you to even do the anti-DEI things that you're doing, according to a Trump-appointed court.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this headline made me angry too. Deloitte says office attendance will be considered as part of some employees' performance reviews to decide their bonuses. You want to know why that one set me off, and I put it in this meritocracy bucket? Because women disproportionately take care of kids at home when they get sick during the school year. This was one of the worst school years in the history of the United States.
Yeah.
For they called it the quademic. Isn't that what they called it this year?
Last year too was bad.
And now those women who we know by the data on average are more educated, have more industry knowledge, they're better suited for their jobs, they have more merit, they're going to get less bonuses. Why? Because they couldn't show up because they had to take care of their kids.
Well, I was going to
But
say they
the
could ask,
boys don't have this problem.
they could ask the CEO to watch their kids, but the CEO is busy serving on a nonprofit board, I guess.
That's
so.
true. There's a
And
lot
by
of
the way,
nonprofits that need
I
the
will,
CEOs on
I
them.
will add this, though, however. Board directors are penalized for bad attendance, so maybe workers should be penalized for bad attendance. That's the only thing we penalize board directors for is failing a 75%
Apparently-
threshold for board attendance.
Deloitte, apparently, your job, Deloitte, like a big part of what you make your money doing is consulting, strategic management consulting. Did you forget the part of strategic management consulting that was, you shouldn't punish employees who can't show up. You should punish employees who suck at their jobs. Maybe everyone needs to fire Deloitte because Deloitte is not showing up on the meritocracy
Matt,
radar anymore.
But
What
you
is going on?
You identify one of the key problems of this fake meritocracy is that probably the reason why they're targeting attendance is because they don't know how to define they don't
Correct.
know how to create objective methodology to define meritocracy. Nobody knows. So it doesn't surprise me that they turn to this asinine stat that you're right, that disproportionately punishes women.
And just so you can see so this is the meritocracy. This last headline
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
love because it's so fucking stupid.
I'm probably not going to love it.
Billionaire 5-hour energy founder already the start of that headline.
We're already living in stupid with that headline. Yeah.
Billionaire 5-hour energy founder says you can learn more about managing a business from your mom than getting an MBA.
What does that mean?
Why do we shit? I don't want to be defending MBAs. I think MBAs are stupid in general. No offense to anyone who's got one. I get why you got one, but I don't really.
Warren Buffett's not going to like that. He got his from Columbia.
I know.
Ivy League school, Columbia.
Let's just say it's not for me. And yet, why are we shitting on someone who wants to educate themselves? Why are we saying like that's it's like the scene in like Good Will Hunting when he talks about I got my education for 20 cents in late fees at the public library while you were dropping, like an overpriced education at Harvard. It doesn't have to be that binary. It can be people want to learn things and be better. That is the definition of merit. Someone who goes by like night school to get an MBA because they want to better themselves. They work hard at it. Billionaire 5-hour energy founder says, just talk to your mom, douchebag. Is this the meritocracy? We ask our mom what we should do. This is the meritocracy for 13-year-old boys who are like, Mama, what should I do next? This is the Robbie Starbuck meritocracy. This is the meritocracy at Deloitte where they say, well, I'm going to count the number of days that you showed up, and that's going to determine your bonus because I don't have a way to actually figure out whether you're good at your job or not. It's bananas.
A few things here. If this guy's name is Manoj Bhargava.
I already don't like him.
Well,
he could have had any name. I wouldn't like it.
If he was actually talking to his mom, she would tell him not to sell some horrible 5-hour energy drink. Imagine how many disgusting ingredients from that. Second of all, here's an interesting twist. I think what's really happening here is that this CEO basically just hates his dad. His dad attended. He went to the Wharton School of Business. His dad.
Oh,
and yet talk to your mom. Yeah, but to be fair, he did. Manoj himself does not have a college degree. He dropped out of Princeton, so
we should listen to all the dropouts. That should be a general rule.
Who sell shit?
Who sell like social
like
media?
Facebook. Yeah,
and 5-hour energy drinks.
Yeah, maybe if he had gone to MBA, got his MBA degree, maybe he could have developed a 7-hour energy drink.
I'm getting a call. Hold on one second. Filibuster.
Moving on, we have one more story.
Speaking of the mothers who can't attend, that was the school calling. It was just an automated call, though.
All right, come on, finish up your
all right, last.
This has been a very disjointed segment. Go ahead.
You're welcome, and it's one headline. Texas leads U.S. renewable energy generation by a country mile. I fucking hate that. All right, those are your three options.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say they're getting investment from. They're getting Tesla factories. They're getting Apple. They're getting everything.
Yeah, they're getting all the green stuff that all of the woke states worked their asses off to innovate, build infrastructure for, help subsidize, to pass laws so that it made it possible. And then they all moved to Texas after they're making money because now they want to protect their money. There is no quid pro quo. There is no sense of like, oh, well, we built it here. Let's keep it here, or let's spread the wealth. No, it's protect your ass in Texas. There's your three. Passing the buck, the meritocracy now, and you're welcome, Texas.
I'm really focused. I'll just make this quick. I'm really focused these days on this idea that we can't even define the meritocracy. Which I guess understandably dovetails from our inability to define what woke is. Trump was talking a lot about how we've killed woke, the end of woke in America. I still don't know what woke means because does he mean we've ended women and black people? I don't really know what he's talking about.
That's
ended college education. I don't know what he's talking about. But now we're using meritocracy and we still don't know what it means.
Look,
other than the fact that it represents 1950 '50s version of America where women didn't really hold important jobs? Is that what we're talking about? I don't know.
The
What we're talking
problem is
about.
the conflation of what woke does.
Give me some data. Give me some objective data. Yeah.
Well, I mean, woke is like the idea of woke is just being
What?
is awareness of
What?
systemic issues, right? Like that's all it's supposed to be. But
And that's over. We're not. That's over.
we're done.
It's dead. It's
It
done?
got
We're done?
conflated with sort of the policing of language and the sort of extension of liberal sort of you
That's
know
my winner.
like which has nothing to do with one has nothing to do with the other. All right. Which means we're on to we're gonna finish this off.
Yeah, let's
Headline
wrap
is
this up. Let's get out of here for
predictions. I love this.
For once.
I got all amped up too. Now I'm tired.
Well, the good news is that you have another show to record today.
Oh, great.
Headlines of the week. I'll go first. Let me start with this. Let me start with Sweet Green. Ever been to Sweet Green?
No, I don't go anywhere if I have.
It's like a salad. I only have gone when I used to go to the MSCI office in Boston. It's like a salad store. You go and you get a salad. I don't know. It's
I mean, Sweet Green. That's what it sounds like.
ostensibly it's pretty healthy compared to other options. Their mission statement is building healthier communities by connecting people to real food. Here's the headline: Sweet Green is betting that you want fries with that salad.
Oh, I do want fries with that salad.
First of all, I can't think of a more disgusting combination.
No, you're wrong.
Second of all, Sweet Green, what are you doing? You shouldn't be selling fried anything. Stop. Just stop. Come on.
Okay, so I'm going to take the contrarian point of view here. I am 100%. You can ask anyone that I like, my wife, when we go on a rare date.
Yeah, you get fries.
I get a salad, like some big monster salad, and a side of fries routinely.
That's very French of you. That French kind of, they always serve fries and salads with everything.
I love it. I think it's fabulous. All right, I got two headlines for you. Number one, man removes huge letters reading "#1 hair implants" from his gold Cybertruck after relentless bullying.
What is that? Were they making fun of his baldness? Is that what they're doing?
No, they were making fun of his Cybertruck. So this guy is a Massachusetts guy. He had a Cybertruck that they put the ads on the side of the car. Like he used it as an moving advertising for his business that did hair implants. And his Yelp page just got flooded with negative reviews because he had a Cybertruck in Massachusetts. I just think that's funny.
I don't know if you ever actually, when you empty your spam from your email, do you ever actually look at the contents of the spam folder?
No, I let it auto empty.
Can I tell you that now? It used to be like a third erectile dysfunction, a third baldness, and a third like maybe random porn, right? Now Elon Musk is a part of half of every spam email. Elon Musk, everywhere.
I don't like what you're saying.
But does that not surprise you?
It does not surprise me. He's everywhere. I got one more, last one. 23andMe rejects CEO's takeover bid of 41 cents a share.
Who rejects? So didn't she create the whole board? Resigned. Who's the board
best,
now?
That's the best headline.
I don't get that one.
The entire board in the early fall resigned
because she's the board.
So Susan Wojcicki owns 49. Ann Wojcicki. Susan died, right? Ann Wojcicki owns like 49% of the shares by vote, and she wanted to take the company private. She made an offer at like $2.40 a share. And the board rejected it, thought it was such a lowball offer that they all resigned in protest. The entire board resigned in protest. So Anne reconstituted the board with 3 new people that she picked because she's the only one on the board to pick the people. She made an offer at 41 cents a share, and they rejected it. It's her offer.
Wow.
They rejected her offer. I just love that. That's a great headline.
Okay, let's just pick that headline. Moving on.
Who do you got for a winner?
Your winner. Yeah. You want to finish up with who won the week?
Yeah. So my winner is Michael Bloomberg.
Okay.
Bloomberg was cited as the largest donor philanthropist of the year in 2024. He gave away.
He was.
Yeah, he was. He gave away $3.7 billion in gifts.
What about
the reason why he's the winner is because I looked this up in 5 or 6 different lists. Mackenzie Scott not on a single list.
Why?
Despite giving away $2 billion in 2024 and $19 billion overall, versus the Bloomberg Foundation has only given away $17 billion in its entire existence. Mackenzie Scott in like 4 years has given away $19 billion, and we are overlooking her entirely. We don't even think of her as a donor.
Well,
On the list are all is the list includes Chan Zuckerberg. It includes the Gates. It includes all Buffett, all of these luminaries of donation. But Mackenzie Scott, the actual donor who gives money and says, do what you need to do with it, not listed.
Well, more
so Bloomberg, congratulations on your win, because you've fooled them all.
More importantly, Mackenzie's not also running a company that is like ruining our culture at the same time. She's
not currently. I would give it time. Give it time.
My winner of the week is our very own Jesse the Money Whisperer. Remember So this is for deep inside listeners. So I used to yell at Jesse repeatedly on this show for still owning a Tesla, right? I was like, come on, get rid of your stupid Tesla. Matt, last weekend, she finally got rid of her Tesla, and she bought a Hyundai, right, last year.
Really?
And here's why I'm calling her a winner, because here is the headline from this week. Hyundai stands by DEI, says it, quote, drives sales.
Wow. Good job, Jesse.
Whisperer household, big winners.
Jesse does not have to put the sticker on that says, I got this before Elon went crazy. That's what people are getting stickers of. All right, do you have a prediction?
Yeah, my prediction, this is kind of a little bit based, it reminds me of the headline that you picked from Starbucks CEO blaming his workers. This is from Sergey Brin. My prediction is that the children of Google workers they're gonna be ordering more Domino's pizza, and they're gonna be logging increased iPad time, because Sergey Brin says AGI is within reach if Googlers work 60-hour weeks. He wants them all to log 60-hour weeks, so they can basically help the 2 people who control Google get just infinitely more rich and powerful.
Here's the worst part about that.
Yeah, 60 hours, Matt. That, I mean, if you have a family, I'm just saying, that's like clocking in at 9 a.m. and clocking out at 9 p.m. and then driving home.
But who do we talk about when we talk about who runs Google? We talk about Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google,
who has very little control over the company.
It turns out if Sergey Brin is saying Googlers need to work 60-hour weeks so that we can achieve AGI, who's really making the calls there?
Well,
the guy who's the CEO in name, or the guy who has all the voting power?
I'm glad you pointed that out. Here's an absolute great use case for the data at freeflowanalytics.com. I just opened up Alphabet, and there's a section. It tells you the influence percentage of every director on the board, and number 1 in influence is Larry Page with 39%. Number 2 is Sergey Brin with 36%. Combined, they control 75% of all board influence.
Yeah,
the current CEO, Sundar Pichai, only 6% influence on that board. And that's why you see headlines for the crazy ultra billionaire Sergey Brin telling his workers, that's
that
we got to work 60-hour weeks. Yeah.
So mine is it looks short, but there's a little bit more to it. But here we go. Ready? American Express. My prediction is they will sue one of their shareholders this year. Why? Because of this headline. American Express elects Michael Angelakis to the board of directors.
Who's that?
Angelakis' name might be familiar to you if you pay attention to who's on Exxon's board. They just pulled in. American Express gets an Exxon board member, Exxon, who sued Arjuna Capital. So apparently there's no punishment for suing a shareholder except getting another board slot somewhere else. Congratulations to him. Also, I bet they're going to sue somebody. That's it.
If he joins the nomination committee, then we better listen very closely to what he thinks about. What he
Yeah,
cares about.
well, State Street will just allow whatever he says to be the thing. That's it. That's Hazelnut Rawless. I'm your analyst, Tom Maniscardi. We are Free Float. Come back again next week. We got shows on Tuesday. We got shows on Friday. And this show, we've got Proxy Countdown, which is going out later today. We've got a Proxy Countdown next week. We have our third show that we produce for Mike Levin and Ann Lipton, Shareholder Primacy. Go get that. They're actually geniuses. And go to freeflowanalytics.com. Sign up for free because the data that Damien's talking about is free. No money. Just put in an email address. You get the data for free.
You're into this kind of stuff.
Super fun. Yeah, fun for somebody.
If
That's
you're
it.
a nerd.
We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye.
I like that Brandon Page, they're batting .001 in controversies. I like
Yeah,
that.
they're like the worst in the entire database.
All right, let's just wrap this fucking day up. I'm not talking well today. All right, I'm going to sign out of here. Am I uploaded? Yes. Yeah.
We'll flip over. I'll see you there.